Welcome back to my morning report charts process on Tuesday the 19th of April with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Antic Markets. Let's look at dollar yen. We've got a recovery possibly coming through on dollar yen now. We had that initial sell-off yesterday that completely turned around on the day, filled the gap bullishly, and we're now actually, are we in the prospect of building a possible base pattern? I think it's more likely to be a bit of a consolidation than a base, and even if it does sort of break out above 109.73, I think it still would just be merely unwinding back towards the resistance of this old support band. I think ultimately that would prove to be a medium-term sell area, sort of between 110 and 111. I think that would be giving you that opportunity. But at the moment we're sort of recovering nicely. The dollar is sort of 20 odd ticks up on the day, following on from a nice intraday rebound yesterday. But again, looking at the momentum indicators, pretty much just reflect a market that is in unwinding mode, really, because the medium-term outlook on this is still sort of negatively configured, isn't it? The RSI is sort of below 50. I think negatively configured MACD lines below neutral, negatively configured, and the stochastics as well. So I think there is room for a bit of an unwind, but I think ultimately it would prove to be a chance to sell. Now you look at this on the hourly chart, and you can see here that the prospect of this recovery. I mean, as I've drawn in the green lines here, 107.60 to 109.73 is this sort of ultimately this sort of consolidation pattern, really. But even then, the unwinding move is you've got this sort of tailing off of the momentum indicators already. The MACD histogram falling, the lines possibly ready to cross lower, and the stochastics have already crossed lower. So has it already sort of lost impetus in the rally? I've still got this pivot line, or this old level at 109.10. It still seems to be acting as resistance, doesn't it? That was the old neckline from the original base pattern. I mean, that base pattern, to be fair, has now been aborted, but it still is an interesting pivot. 109.10 area seems to be that is resistance coming in. So it's ultimately going to be a bit of a consolidation range for now, and until we get a break, I think that's how you're going to have to play it. And that finding resistance around that pivot level is interesting, because it's fairly neutral within that, and it's again rolling over. It's not showing really strong momentum. If the RSI, for example, was above 70 consistently, I think you'd start to think, well, yeah, this is going to be sort of building for this base breakout, and it may still break out to the upside, but generally speaking, I think that the dollar is not a strong currency at the moment. I think the yen has tended to be one of the better performers in the last few months, so I think ultimately that is not going to help the dollar, and I think it's going to prove to be a any near-term gains on this dollar yen, I think, will be sold into. So I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I will speak to you later. Thank you.